Months ago, I made this video where I pinned 30 Loomians against each other and saw which one of them would win the Squid Game. The video got a lot of positive feedback, and within it, I said that if the video got 1000 views, I would make another one which might possibly include Roaming Loomians. As you can probably tell, it did, so that's what this video is. My name is It's Bruni and today, we're going to find out which Roaming Loomian would win Squid Game. Let's dive right in. The rules for the games are as follows. Loomians enter the games without any outside weapons, held items, tutor or ally moves, or TP or up investment to level out the playing field. They can also use their Loomian powers if they don't violate the spirit of the game. For example, Loomians can fly in combat games, but not to cheese the glass bridge. Winners and losers are determined by their Loomipedia entries, moves, abilities, typings, and stats. Finally, despite the title of this video, we'll be including all of the Loomians that are considered as roaming according to the Loomian Legacy Wiki, but we're also going to be including ones that are often associated with them, but aren't explicitly stated that they are there. We'll also be including different forms of the same species of Loomian since there aren't that many roaming Loomians to go around. That concludes our rules. Now onto our players. For our Roaming Loomians, we have Duskit, Ikazoon, Protagon, Mutagon, Cephalops, Elephage, Phaganaut, Metronet, Warbalisk, Nevermore, Achilles, Gargulum base form, Gargulum attack form, Gargulum defense form, Gargulum speed form and Celesting. For our non-roaming Loomians according to the wiki, we have Ferroglyph, Nemori, Cosmere encased form, Cosmere cracked form, and Cosmere unleashed form for a total of 21 players. With our rules and players out of the way, let the second ever Loomian Legacy Squid Game begin.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
We begin with the first game, which is of course, red light, green light. The rules of this game are simple. Move when a green light is called and stop when a red light is called and make it to the finish line before time runs out. Contestants can survive if they are calm under pressure or have a naturally high speed to make it past the finish line. If a Loomian lacks one or even both traits, they will be eliminated. Standouts in this game include Ikazoon, whose Loomipedia entry states how it warns people of disasters to come. This means it would be smart enough to sense when a red light is being called, and would have no problem freezing beforehand. Mutagon's entry talks about how it has a very developed brain, so he would be able to remain calm under pressure and not panic. All four of the Gargulums would also pass this challenge. For the base, attack, and defense forms, their entries talk about how they pretend to be statues to lure prey, so they would be able to stand still during red lights with no issue. The speed form, however, is the fastest Loomian in the room with a speed stat of 155, and would definitely be the first to cross the finish line. The first Roaming Loomian to go is actually Protagon. Protagon's entry talks about how it's programmed to destroy, so it wouldn't be capable of listening to the rules and definitely try to attack either one of the other players or a staff member, resulting in their elimination. The encased form of Cosmere is the next to fall. It has the lowest speed stat of all of the Loomians competing, which is 46. It wouldn't be fast enough to cross the finish line, and remember, those who don't finish get eliminated. Our final death in red light, green light is Cephalops. This is for a multitude of reasons. Not only are they pretty slow, having a base speed of 52, but also because it lives in the ocean, and wouldn't be too familiar with traversing on land pretty well. Besides, their physiology wouldn't have allowed it to make it past the next round anyway. Speaking of which, we're moving on. With 3 eliminated and 18 left standing, we head into the next game in line, which is Honeycomb. In this game, players are given a cookie with a shape carved into it and a needle that they must use to carve said shape out within the assigned time limit. In order for our players to pass, they must have the steady hands to cut out the shape within the time limit as well as having the patience to not immediately break it. Lacking either of these characteristics can spell their doom. Mutagon, again, survives this round thanks to how intelligent it is. It would likely notice any small cracks within the cookie and then adapt from that detail in order to avoid breaking the shape. It would also be patient enough to not rush through the task and possibly risk breaking it even more. The base, defense, and speed. Gargoyles are also very patient Loomians for the same reasons as the last game. They wait for long periods of time as statues to hunt for prey, making them shoo-ins for this game. Our final standouts are Ferroglyph and Nevermore. Since these two wield a scepter and scythe respectively for weapons, they would both naturally have the steady hands to pass this challenge. However, like in my previous Loomian Legacy Squid Game video, many Loomians have to be eliminated here because they lack opposable thumbs to hold either the cookie or the needle required to pass the round. This is mainly due to them either being quadruped or not having any hands at all. Those who fall under this category are Ikazune, Achilles, Gargolem attack form, and Celesting. Elephage and Phaganaut would also have to be eliminated. While they do have hands, they are not dexterous enough to hold the needle, which is unfortunately a death sentence in these games. Last to go is Metronet. Similar to Elephage and Phaganaut, its short, stubby hands would make it difficult to hold the objects required to pass this game. And ironically, Lucky 7 are eliminated here with 11 left standing. However, we're going to be doing something a bit different from the usual formula. Normally, we would be moving on to the Midnight Brawl, which is a fight caused by a lack of food, sleep, and trainers to control the Loomians' behavior, as well as the stress of staying alive from these deadly games. However, this specific set of Loomians seem to all either be capable enough to hold themselves up against each other in a fight or be smart enough to not start one in the first place. So instead, we'll be skipping that round and going straight into the next game, Tug of War. But, something you shouldn't skip over is the like and subscribe buttons on this channel. If you enjoyed this video so far, please drop a like and subscribe to this channel. It motivates me to make more videos like these. Anyway, let's head back to the video. To win this game, players must pull a rope to the other side whilst competing in teams of 10. However, unlike the show, we're not assigning our Loomians in 2 teams, but rather judging them based on their physical strength and teamwork skills. If they lack either one of these, they are less likely to survive the challenge. Duskit gets our first mention of the survivors since it is a surprisingly physically strong Loomian, having a base melee attack of 100, as well as being an above average team player because we learned from its entry that legends exist about it protecting people and land from disasters. Mutagon, for the 3rd time, excels in a challenge as it's the only brawler Loomian left standing and is naturally physically strong. Its developed brain would also allow it to come up with a strategy and lead their team to victory. Another leader who makes it out alive is Ferroglyph, since its entry talks about how they used to serve them during ancient warrior, so they likely have some knowledge when it comes to leading and teamwork. Finally, the unleashed form of Cosmere makes it out because it has the highest melee attack of 134 of the remaining Loomians. The first Loomian to go in Tug of War is the cracked form of Cosmere. While the unleashed form may have gotten past this game because of its high melee attack, the cracked form doesn't possess this same luxury, having the lowest base melee attack of 43 of the remaining Loomians. Additionally, since they come from space according to its entry, they're unlikely to work well with others since they don't know how to interact with other people and Loomians. Next to fall is Nemori. Like Cosmere cracked form, Nemori has a very low melee attack of 46 and is rarely shown to interact with others. Unlike Cosmere though, Nemori is very minuscule in size, which also contributes to its poor physical strength. Our final death in Tug of War is Gargolem speed form. Unlike both Cosmere and Nemori, whose deaths were mainly focused on lack of teamwork and physical strength, Gargolem Speed's death is due to its physiology. While it was barely able to pass the second game, its thin wings and talons would make it difficult to pull the rope effectively, putting their team at a disadvantage. Another few are eliminated with 8 remaining. Heading into the next game, Marbles. For this game, players are given 10 marbles and must play a game with them against a partner until one of them gets 20 marbles. Like in Tug of War, we're not going to be assigning Loomians in 2 teams, but rather judging them based on their skills in the challenge. To win this game, you must either have the skills to do well in the marble games themselves, or more commonly, have the manipulation skills to trick your partner into giving you all the marbles. For the 4th time in this Squid Game, Mutagen passes thanks to its intelligence, and would not only be smart enough to pick a game they could easily win, but also smart enough to not be tricked himself. Nevermore is another shoo-in since its pumpkin head portion of the Loomian is able to manipulate the horse part, so they would know a thing or two about controlling others to get what they want. Ferroglyph is also another intelligent Loomian who would not fall for any manipulation tactics thanks to its interactions with people in ancient Auria, and would also be smart enough to pick a game that would give them a higher chance of winning. Finally, both Gargolums are known for tricking their prey by pretending to be statues. We can easily see them conning other players out of their marbles too. The first elimination this round is also the first ever Roaming Loomian to be created, Duskit. Earlier in this video, I mentioned how legends were created that described Duskit as a protector from natural disasters. Because of this, Duskit would be the most likely of the remaining contestants to lose on purpose to protect its partner. The next to fall in marbles is the final Cosmere, the unleashed form. Like with Duskit, I mentioned something earlier that works against Cosmere's favor, the fact that it is from space. While that could be used against another Loomian from space, Nevermore, who at the very least, does have some manipulation skills, Cosmere Unleashed doesn't quite understand what it's like to interact with others, leading them to easily be tricked into playing a marble game that works against their win rate. Our final death in this game is Warbalisk. Warbalisk's entry does mention how its Siri cries can intimidate people, and it could potentially use that to intimidate others into giving them their marbles. However, since their competition is much wiser and manipulative than they are, this probably wouldn't work as no one would be afraid of him. Combine that with its lack of contact with the outside world is what seals Warbalisk's fate. 3 more Loomians are eliminated with 5 remaining, going into the penultimate round, Glass Bridge. Normally, each player must select a number to cross a bridge of glass panels without stepping on the thinner glass panel. This can be a very difficult game to simulate as we don't know what order the Loomians will select their numbers. However, there is one factor that can determine their order, that being their ego. If a Loomian has a large ego, they're more likely to go first and fall off the bridge, but if they are humble and intelligent enough, they'll know not to run headfirst into a situation and pick a higher number to go last and to be cautious. Starting with our losers, we have Nevermore. Nevermore would be one of, if not the first Loomian to die in this game. This is mainly due to its hooves and heavy weight, which would make it difficult to traverse the bridge. They would also have an above average ego since its pumpkin portion of the Loomian is keen on controlling others and thinks it's superior to them. Ferroglyph, on the other hand, likely has the biggest ego in the room. They used to serve Aurian rulers and likely had a lot of people who served them. There's no way he wouldn't pick a lower number to go first. Our last elimination of Glass Bridge is the second to last Gargolum, the defense form. Like Nevermore, its bulky body and heavy weight, being even more heavy than Nevermore would make it difficult to jump to each panel. Additionally, they only have an average ego and would pick a low to middle number, which isn't enough to make it through to the final round. Our 2 survivors who will make it to the final round are Mutagen and Gargolum base. Mutagen survives, because its intelligence will allow it to not only know when to not dive headfirst into a situation, but also allow it to potentially tell the difference between the tempered glass and the normal. Gargolum base meanwhile, is much more agile and lightweight than its defensive counterpart, which would allow it to traverse the bridge much easier even if they wouldn't be allowed to use their wings. We've also been shown that it can be very patient since it's the only one of the Gargolums that Loomian Legacy players can see in the wild waiting for one to strike at. With our finalists ready to go, we head into the final game, which is conveniently enough, the titular Squid Game. Normally in this game, 2 players compete against each other with one being an attacker and another a defender. The attacker must try to cross the opposite end of the court and touch the squid's head with their foot whilst the defender does everything they can to stop them. In the show, however, the game escalates into a battle to the death to decide who wins, and the same will apply here. The winner will be heavily based on battle prowess, which will include typings, movesets, abilities, and base stats, but still no tutor or ally moves, held items, or outside weapons. Before we reveal who the winner is, let's take a moment and analyze both Loomians to see how they would do against each other. Starting with Mutagen, it's a mind brawler type Loomian, which means it would naturally have both the brains and brawn to succeed. They have excelled in every single game thus far, and even without any rally or tutor moves, still has a wide variety of potent moves such as telekinetic sweep, mega punch, cerebral slash, and brawn boost to set up its melee attack. Its base stat total also allows it to hit hard with its high melee attack and energy, as well as tank hits with its high HP and melee defense, as well as having both a very defensive and offensive ability. Clearly, Mutagen is a well-rounded Loomian who would be a very formidable opponent. Gargolem, on the other hand, is also very well-rounded. Unlike Mutagen, however, Gargolem has the type advantage against its opponents, with their type Wind Slap, Bared Blade, and Nosedive in its opposite that are super effective against Mutagen's Brawler type. It will also be allowed to fly if its wings allow them to do so, granting them a possible method of dodging attacks. It's also much faster than Mutagen with its base 105 speed and both 115 base melee and ranged attack, allowing it to dish out hits and move first in the process. Additionally, it has a very defensive ability of Immunized, which prevents it from gaining any status condition that can slowly cripple its chances of winning. Overall, Mutagen seems to focus on both offensive and defensive capabilities, whilst Gargolem has invested a lot more in the offensive. This, unfortunately, is what seals the latter's fate, not only because of this, but also because there is one move Mutagen has that significantly tips the scale in its favor, that being Frost Punch. Frost Punch is a base 70 ice type move that is available at the start of when you first catch Mutagen and is 4 times super effective against Gargolem because of its Earth Air type. While it is only one move and not 100% guaranteed on the Loomian, considering the fact that it's there from the very beginning of its learns, it makes it very likely it will have access to it in the fight. Not to mention, with an only mediocre 80 based defense, it's unlikely Gargolem would be able to survive more than one of these without healing moves or TP and up investment. They would be able to dodge if they could fly, but they would ultimately just be delaying the inevitable. Even if Gargolem did manage to get some super effective hits off, Mutagen would simply just tank them and fire back with a Frost Punch or two. Additionally, like in the last Squid Game video, I asked some people in Discord servers who would win in a fight between these two Loomians, and they unanimously agreed that Frost Punch would be what would grant Mutagen the edge. On top of all of this, if you go into the Vantacorp Vault, the location where you catch Mutagen, you can find these journals about how Mutagen caused the passing of 2 parents and injured a girl through causing a car crash, the girl presumably being Battlestar Faust. If Mutagen is capable of something like this, there's no doubt they might do the same to Gargolem. Combining all these factors that significantly work in Mutagen's favor, we can conclude that they would be the one who walks home with their life intact and a bunch of prize money, whilst Gargolem would have to remain the runner-up this time around. Congratulations to Mutagen for winning the first ever Roaming Loomian Squid Game, as well as the second ever Loomian Legacy Squid Game. It may have been obvious from the start of the video that they would win since its 2 typings represent the 2 core skills to winning Squid Game, but that's more or less why it deserves to win the most of all the Roaming Loomians. But, did you think that Mutagen deserved to win, or do you think he won a little too easily? Let me know in the comments below and I'll try and see if I can improve some things in the next video. I'll be setting up the same view goal as last time as well. If this video gets 1000 views, I'll make another Squid Game video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the Wicked Binge channel since they heavily inspired this video, and check out my second channel if you're interested in some Pokemon content.
That's all, folks.